Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning. And today we've got another combo that we've never tested before. So I'm definitely interested to see how it does because these shells are definitely on the cheap end for a turkey shell. But this combination of shotgun and choke have been a little bit picky with some shells in the past. So will this combination work out? There's a possibility of it, but there's also the possibility that we see a very disappointing pattern at the same time. But as for the shells we've got out here today, I brought out some of the Kent Ultimate Turkey Diamond Shot 12 gauge shells. They are a 12 gauge, 3-inch, 1 3/4 ounce payload of lead number 4s, moving about 1310 feet per second. And as far as I'm aware, this Diamond Shot doesn't really mean a whole lot. It could be just a little bit harder compound of lead, but these are still pretty much your basic lead number 4 turkey shell. Definitely nothing fancy about them, especially considering that I think I paid $7.99 for this box of turkey shells, which is very cheap, that's for sure. But so far, they have given us some decent, usable turkey patterns. Definitely nothing to write home about, but if you were on a really tight budget, they would be good enough out to 40 yards for you. So how are they going to do through today's combination? I don't know. But as for that setup we've got here today, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag here with this choke, which is the Indian Creek 675 constriction turkey choke. And this combination has given us some good results with lead 4s in the past, but like I mentioned a little bit ago, it does get a little bit picky sometimes with what it likes and doesn't like. So how well can that cheap of a shell actually perform through it? We're going to find out one way or the other. But as for the test today, everything is the same as usual. The turkey paper is set up at 40 yards. I've also got the chronograph so we can get our velocity out of the shell. So let's get you guys set up with the view of this target and take this shot and just see what kind of a pattern this cheap of a shell is able to give us through this 835 in Indian Creek today. Okay, so that shell gave us 1408 through the chrono. The box claim is 1310, so we definitely saw a little bit above their claim. What is that, 98 feet per second? So definitely getting up there into waterfowl shell type of territory. Now, for me personally, with a turkey load like that, I probably would have liked to have seen, mid 1200s. But hey, if they can hold together and pattern well, then I guess it really doesn't matter a whole lot. But let's go down range and just see what kind of a pattern they actually did give us. All right, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. And we absolutely do have a dead bird here. There is a very nice clump of them right through the brain there. So yeah, you would have absolutely had a dead turkey here all day long. Now the overall pattern is just a touch on the high side. It would look a little better on the paper if we had it centered up a little bit lower, but some of that might have had to do with the 1400 feet per second velocity, taking these shells just a little bit high downrange. But what we see here for a pattern isn't bad, all things considered. For an $8-ish box of shells, I mean, that's a 40-yard turkey pattern right there. And they are lead 4s, so we don't have the shot count that we would in like a lead 5 or 6 shell or something like that. So for being a very cheap load of lead 4s, I'll take that. It's definitely not the best number 4 pattern we've ever seen by a long shot, but I can tell you right now, it is far, far from the worst as well. The main central area of the pattern here is a very even uniform spread. We do have a little bit of a void right over here, but I'm really not super concerned about that. It's not big enough to really cause any problems. So the main, say 20 inches or so of that pattern there is more than good enough out to 40 yards for you all day long. Definitely don't have necessarily a condensed tight core area. I think our core is just at the top of his head there. So definitely not much as for a core. And if I didn't mention it earlier, these are a very basic lead shell. They are not even buffered or anything. So I think if they lower the velocity a little bit on these to mid 1200s or so and add a little bit of buffer material in there, they would have a surprisingly good shell on their hands. But still, if you had a really tight budget and that's the setup you had, these turkey shells would absolutely still get it done. So although it's definitely not the best pattern we've ever seen, I think considering that they're an $8 box of shells, I don't think we can complain too much about that kind of a pattern. And it really kind of reminds me of a Winchester Double X type of pattern, but these are half the price. So if you can find them, they seem to be at least usable turkey shells for you if that's what you're looking for. So as for these results today, definitely not going to win anything in the looks department, but it's going to be good enough out to 40 to 45 yards to take you a turkey with all day long. So can we really complain too much at the price point that these are at? I don't think so. So overall, I'm calling this a win today for what these shells are. That's for sure. I don't think we can really have too many complaints about that kind of a pattern. Okay, and here's the wad from that shell, and as you can see, very, very basic design here. Definitely nothing fancy going on. We do have a bunch of little pinholes and tears and stuff around there, but the Indian Creek chokes are kind of known for that. So definitely nothing too out of the ordinary to see there. There's nothing stuck down in there though. Everything looks good inside, and our pattern, I think it did about as good as what it realistically could, so I think the wad did what it was designed to do for these shells today at least. So even though it's a little beat and banged up, I don't really think there's anything too special to take note of on this one. All right, y'all. Well, what do you think about that pattern right there? For about an $8 box of shells, I don't think we can really complain too much about that. That is a very solid, very usable turkey pattern out to that 40, 45 yard range all day long. Sure, it definitely is not the tightest or the prettiest looking lead 4 pattern we've seen, but hey, like I've already said several times, for what these shells are, I don't think we really can complain too much about that. So if you're on a really, really tight budget and that's the shell you stumble across, although they're not the best out there, they definitely seem to be plenty usable enough. But as always, leave your thoughts down in the comments. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Kent Ultimate turkey shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen out of them? And would you consider that a decent pattern? Would you hunt with that kind of a pattern? Let me know all that down below. But overall here, all things considered, I'm calling that a pretty decent win for today. If that's the pattern I had to work with, then yeah, I would absolutely take it out turkey hunting and be confident in it out to 40 yards or so. So not terrible overall, that's for sure. But with that being said, I've got plenty more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, you have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.